the existence in the East is not acceptable, and they should leave this region, and every part of the Syria soil should be under the legitimate supervision of the Syria government. All of us continue to fight against terrorism, and all the countries collaboration, we paid attention to that. Today, the terrorism works and groups are hampering the security of the region. Today, Iran, Islamic Republic have been successful experiences to fight against terror. May God commemorate the soul of the martyr Commander Qasemi. He was a symbol for fight against terror. All the countries contributed in fight against terror. However, the current concerns in some of the region regarding the terrorism and the problems are really huge problem, and in order to remove this problem, all the countries' intention and will is important, and it will be successful. The same way the oppressed people of Syria, it is important to reach them humanitarian aid. And in addition to that, all the parties the economical problems of the Syria and the people, it was highlighted the importance of removing these problems. And the same way, breach of the sovereignty of Syria, any such action to cause it should be in this meeting. The attack of the Zionism regime, to condemn them and to stop at once against Syria. It was also highlighted. All kind of attack against Syria people and army are breach of international law, and they should be stopped at once. Russia, Turkey, and of Iran, Islamic Republic, their collaboration and the collaboration with Syria government are very important, especially the measures regarding performing these measures. We believe that Astana platform has been successful. And up until now, it was successful to provide the security of Syria, and it should continue afterwards. Iran, Russia, and of course other countries within the region are important. Only by this way, the stability in Syria can be provided, and we can have people to get back their normal life. Another topic is that the Syrian refugees should be provided to return their homes, and the Syrian refugees who sought asylum in the neighboring countries should get back to their country, and the necessary infrastructure should be provided. We hope that the member countries of Astana process and with the collaboration of other countries, the stability in Syria would be provided. So once more, I kindly ask all the participants, and I would like to thank the presidents of Turkey and Russia. Now I would like to give the floor to Russia Federation. Federation President.
Sayın Raisi, Sayın Erdoğan,
Mr. Raisi, Mr. Erdoğan, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the guarantor countries meeting for Astana process for solution, providing solution, it has been very successful, and Mr. Raisi and Mr. Erdoğan together, the most critical points, the key points of collaboration in Syria we have discussed in the joint statements, Syria, Russia, Iran and Turkey, to provide sustainability and feasibility. We once more confirmed that we are dedicated. All three countries accept that the solution of the Syria crisis can only be solved with political and diplomatic methods. 2254 law of the UN. So, in dialogue between for Syria, of course, the soil integrity of Syria and sovereignty of Syria should be protected, and also the future of Syrians, they should determine it without imposing any external model. Today we have agreed on that. In Astana format, we will have these expert-level meetings continuously, and the Syrian sides, both government and oppositions, the representatives of three countries, and the observant countries like Jordan, Lebanon, and UN representatives are attending. We have agreed that this will be made until the end of this year, and we have a foreign ministers meeting to be set. It is a great importance, and also the work of the Constitution Committee, and I should remind you that this structure is a result of the coordinated efforts of three countries. By this way, the government, opposition, and NGO representatives of Syria will be brought together, and how their structure should be. So we had a chance of this dialogue of this Iran and Turkey partners, and with the coordination of the Syrian representative of UN, we will contribute to the Constitution Committee efforts. Today we also worked on fight against terrorism. So, with the help of our efficient works, the terrorism threat is reducing in Syria. The Daesh main groups and other armed groups, they are nearly removed, and most of the Syrian land is controlled, and in Syria we are against all kinds of terrorism, and in the future the external forces we will work on and prevent external forces to use terrorist group for their selfish purposes, especially in the east of Euphrates. This is a challenging situation, and there some Western countries, with their support, the soil territory, the soil integrity of Syria, they are trying to keep their military forces and encourage separatists. We, as the Russian side, saying that the east of Syria, east of Euphrates, should be controlling. under the government. And for humanitarian aid, we should help all the Syrians for peace. And at this point, the UN humanitarian aid agencies should be more active, especially hospitals, schools, electricity, infrastructure, substructures. They should be more active. And while doing this, if we do this successfully, so Syrians to get back their own countries. And today in Iran, during our time, it was again very successful bilateral meetings. Mr. Ali Khamenei, in our meeting with them, Russia-Iran strategic collaboration topics were discussed, and we have agreed on that. Good neighborhood and mutually beneficial collaboration will be improved. And in solving regional and international problems. So we discussed the concrete topics with President Raisi, like energy and industry and transportation, and again between us two countries using the national currency. We have agreed on that as well. And also in our comprehensive plan regarding Iran nuclear plan, we are also agreeing on that, and of the UN 2254 decision is we are agreeing on that, and all the sides are agreeing of all sides of this plan without any discrimination. And our bilateral meeting with Mr. Erdoğan, we have recorded that Russia-Turkey collaboration is improving very dynamically in every field, and again Russia and Ukraine for reaching the grains to world market, to make it facilitation, and the topics of the food security, especially in the Istanbul meeting, the outcomes once more discussed. So I would like to extend my gratitude for these comprehensive meetings, both to Mr. Raisi and Erdoğan. We hope that the agreement, the decisions today will help the peace and sustainability of Syria, and for the next Astana summit will be made in Russia, and I invite both presidents to Russia, and I would like to thank them. Now, President Erdoğan from Republic of Turkey. I welcome you with my most heartfelt feelings in the beginning of my words, particularly Mr. Raisi, and to all my Iranian brothers and sisters for their sincere hospitality, and of our triple summit in Astana Forum. Today it was the 7th of them. In our consultancy, we discussed the issues in Syria. And in Syria, in order to provide peace and sustainability, we have also looked at them in the country to provide the conflict and to bring the peace. We discussed the possible joint efforts. By this way, the Astana Forum, the best effort to bring the solution. And as the Astana guarantors, we will continue to work with the same dedication, we have confirmed that, and fight against terror has been one of the important topics in the region. As Turkey, whether Daesh, PKK, PYD or YPG, we see no difference between terror organizations. To fight with one of them, we don't accept using the other one as the pawn. Without considering where and by whom they are supported, we will continue our fight against terrorism, and we are dedicated to clean Syria from those terrorist organizations. As Astana guarantor, our expectation from Russia and Iran is to support us in this effort. In our meetings, we also considered how the previous decisions are being applied. PKK, PYD and YPG terror is our joint problem because terrorist organizations are targeting the soil integrity of Syria. We can only end the Syria conflict with political solutions. Within this understanding, the current situation of the political solutions and the possible next steps, we have discussed them is deliberately to our Astana partners in order to solve this problem in a permanent manner. We once more repeated our call for political solution, and byproduct of the Astana platform and the only mechanism to bring the sides of the Syria, which is the Constitution Committee, and therefore they should provide positive outcome. Unfortunately, Syria government is not agreeing on that. So the waiting session of this committee should be performed and the conflict should be solved within the parameters of UN. Of UN Security Council decision number 2254, accordingly the legitimate demand of the Syrian people and where the security and sustainability is provided, and the Syrian sides for encouraging their legitimate efforts, we will work for more. Distinguished press members, in the center of the solution efforts of Syria, there is the objective of ending the humanitarian tragedy. The people in Syria are living in pavilions in non-humanitarian conditions. From this perspective, in the north of Syria, we are building brick houses. Therefore, we are trying to carry them to these brick houses immediately. So within this perspective, in our summit meeting, the situation in Idlib, where more than 4 million people live, we have discussed it as well. And also we paid attention to continuing of the ceasefire. And also we have discussed our efforts for the current conditions. And regarding returning of the Syrian asylum seekers to their countries, we have discussed as well. Our objective is for them to return their countries in a volunteering, safe, and honorable way. For this purpose, the necessary conditions, I believe they can be provided hand-to-hand. Until now, in Syria, to the region where we cleaned from terror, approximately more than 500,000 Syrian refugees have returned to their country, and we will carry on these works in the upcoming period. More than 4 million of civilians are in need of the international aid more than ever. That's the picture. And as Turkey, in order to ease in these aids, we provided all kind of support, and we asked the same effort by all our partners. This is vital to the northwestern of Syria. the core of the humanitarian aid mechanism, the UN decision, is good to be extended for 6 months, even it is 6 months. And of the Syrian conflict, under scope of the UN decision number 2254, our efforts to solve them, we are dedicated to continue those efforts. While I end my words, I would like to thank my dear brother Raisi for their warm hospitality, and the next meeting, as you know, will be in Russia, and in advance I wish success for this meeting.
خیلی متشکرم از رئیس جمهور محترم ترکیه به خاطر اظهار نظرهاشون. من یک بار دیگه تقدیر و تشکر میکنم از همه
Once more, I would like to thank all the press members for attending and following our program. Iran, Islamic Republic, Russian Federation, and Republic of Turkey's joint statement was published, and this joint statement is also be provided for press members, and every 3 countries have highlighted the topics that they have mutually agreed, and definitely in Syria, in the region, we will follow these, and thanks God that this meeting has been successful, and the next meeting will be Russian Federation.